Welcome back to Media Week. Well, we've just heard PwC's forecast for the media market and the growing trend showing a lot of Australian marketing departments now moving that spending away from traditional advertising and towards those owned or DIY channels. So what does it mean for production companies? We're joined by Ian Hogg. He's CEO of Fremantle Media Australia and Asia Pacific. Thank you so much for joining us, Ian. Good to have you on the show. So companies creating their own content, I suppose you say it's an opportunity, but is it a threat as well?
No, it's an opportunity. I mean, I think the more customers we have, the better for business. And so we're certainly, just listening to the interview before with Megan, we'd agree with a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of content moving to different platforms now, and a lot of advertisers being more prescriptive about how they want that content represented and where they want it to be broadcast. So for us, it's a good thing. It's a really good thing.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about the traditional television business here in Australia. We talk a lot on the show about, seems to be down to big ticket items, live sport, very crucial, then big live event or event TV, you know, the reality shows that get 2, 3, 4 nights a week, 5 if you're lucky. Yeah. Is that crucial, and how are you doing in that space?
It's very important, James. Even as recently as this morning, the World Cup, I'm sure the numbers that SBS will get in the morning will be spectacular for something that started at 6 a.m. So people will arrive for things that they deem to be important. And generally with social media these days, what's important is what's bigger and better and louder and brighter. And you see that on Facebook posts. Generally people are posting, look at me, look at me. So we're seeing the market going up and going down. The bigger shows are getting bigger, the smaller shows are getting smaller, and the market's getting pushed.
So are there ramifications for those smaller shows? Is it getting harder to place them?
Yeah, you're certainly seeing more bigger shows and more focus by the broadcast networks on bigger shows. But there are lots of opportunities and outlets for smaller shows. Foxtel has a great depth and breadth of channels and smaller programs that fit within smaller niches. But to your question, with those bigger tentpoles on free-to-air broadcasters, not just here but right around the world, you're definitely seeing more attention, bigger budgets, more noise.
What are they saying they want from guys like you, or what are you saying they should want from you? What's the kind of the conversations about the next big thing, I suppose?
Yeah, well, we all want that, don't we? And it's so hard to find. Yeah. But and I think there isn't probably a production company in the world or a broadcaster in the world that doesn't want the next big thing. Goodness knows what it's going to be and where it's going to come from. But generally things that are supersized are stickier. So character, story, the basics that sometimes is really easy to forget. If you have a great story, people are going to follow that story, whether it's a big story or a small story, whether you're watching it on a tablet or on a mobile phone or on a big plasma screen, you're going to follow that story. And so at the end of the day, it comes back to storytelling, who's telling those stories, where they're being told, and how cleverly they're being pitched to broadcasters and to clients, being advertisers and audiences.
Yeah, sure.
Ian, the ABC's budget's been a big story this year. The government's trying to make some savings there. They commission a lot of Aussie content. How concerned is the production sector about what might happen?
Well, obviously we don't like budget cuts at the ABC or SBS any more than I'm sure SBS or the ABC want budget cuts. And we'd like to think that if they are making adjustments, and at the moment the government's been signalling smaller adjustments outside of some of the bigger ticker items, that hopefully isn't going to come off screen. So normally when we're looking at maximising our efficiencies, the last thing we want to do is take story off air. We want to keep it on air, and we try to be more efficient and optimise our businesses outside of storytelling and what's going to air. And I'm sure you'll find SBS and the ABC will do exactly the same thing.
We've heard that a lot, Brooke, in the past, when Nine say they're making cutback 7, they say we don't want to affect on air. Yeah. From your side of it, can you do that?
Yeah, absolutely you can, and we're not seeing them doing that. You know, obviously everybody's tightening their belts at the moment, and that's been a regime which has been in place probably since the first GFC, and I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon. But we're seeing a better focus on story and quality, and costs are being lost off screen, not on screen.
You're in charge of Asia Pacific, as we mentioned in the introduction as well, and I've spotted you at the big subscription television conference in Hong Kong. Yes. So, I mean, what are the opportunities there, and what's different and interesting about what you're seeing across the region to what we're seeing here, even? Or
very different, Brooke. In Asia, I'd say the broadcast ecosystem has leaned forward. Most of the countries in Asia are experiencing great economic growth. You can almost turn the lights on in India and get 9 or 10% growth annually without doing anything. Whereas in mature markets, obviously people are far more cautious about where they're putting their money. So we see across, and we define Asia, by the way, as Japan, China, down to Indonesia and across to India and everything in between. So that's 2/3 of the world's population. And most of those clients are positive, they're trading very, very well, their advertising and subscription revenues are robust, and they're very confident with their business models. You don't see that in mature marketplaces to anywhere near the same degree.
So how does that change what you've got to offer, or I don't know, the type of opportunity that is, in terms of from a content producing perspective?
They're
I
more
suppose
comfortable with risk. Yeah, they're more comfortable with risk. So, again, when you've got a mature business and you have a mature constituency, you're probably more inclined to dress conservatively and or to program conservatively. When you're in a growth market and your audience is growing at the same pace, you need to take some more risks to keep the short attention span that most people in life have in check.
If you can invoice for a program the month that goes to air, July will be a cracker for you guys. Tell us a few of the things that you've got going on.
X Factor's going out on 7 on Sunday night. We're bringing back Family Feud on Channel 10. That launches on Monday night. The day after with Grant Denyer. I was actually down in Melbourne yesterday watching some of the records.
I've been loving the promos, by the way.
Really?
Some of them are really
You
funny.
can't miss them, can you?
No, you
Except when you can't answer them. That's the problem when you can't answer them. You feel rightly stupid. Wonderland is coming back on 10 shortly. Recipe to Riches is coming back on 10. Grand Designs on Lifestyle, one of our favourite shows. Wentworth, of course, is on air at the moment.
Told you it was a good month.
Going from strength to strength. And probably for us, Neighbours. You know, Neighbours turns 30 next year. And for us, that's just an extraordinary achievement. I'm sure a lot of people watching this might be, you know, close to 30 or near 30, not unlike yourself, James. And so for us, it's a real treat, and we're going to celebrate that next year.
And Neighbours on Hulu.
Neighbours on Hulu.
Is it people making money out of Hulu yet? The content providers. So
absolutely, we'd like to make more, James.
Yeah.
We're greedy like that. But no, Hulu's a great deal for us, and it's great to have Neighbours in North America.
Ian Hogg, thank you so much. Really fun to chat to you today. We appreciate it. Yep, big month for you, so thank you. Ian Hogg, CEO, Fremantle Media Australia and Asia Pacific. Coming up, latest radio and TV ratings.